Everyone, and welcome to our MYB Future Makers Academy talk. My name is Shan Kin, and I am the program advisor here for our graduate program, the Future Makers Academy. And I'm going to give it to Bianca to introduce herself.
Hey everyone. Hi, I'm Bianca Knight, and my role here at MYB is the Program Consultant for the Future Makers Academy. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'll throw back to you, Shan.
So everyone here, as you know, the topic, and you're reading it there on our presentation, that the topic today is really about the idea how learning at your own pace brings a lot of power in the way that our protege developers become great software developers, but also in the way that is being delivered in our product delivery and what that effectiveness looks like. So I will be actually going through what learning at your own pace actually means. And Bianca, I know that you're going to go through something really special as well.
Shan, so later afterwards, I'll run through a high-level overview on our program at MYOB, the Future Makers Academy, and also share some information with you about career progression at MYOB and what that looks like as a software developer, and moving into how you can learn more about the program and keep in touch.
Great. Thanks, Bea. Now, the biggest thing is, team, is that if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, pop it in the channel and we'll be able to answer that. At the end, we'll probably leave about 5 to 10 minutes answering those questions that you might have. But to begin, learning at your own pace. And before we actually start, I want you all to think about a moment. Now, before you think about that moment, we know that as people, we are learners. We are learners to life, we're learners to relationships, and in this context, we are learners to academia. But whatever you are learning, there are moments that you will find, and these magical moments that occur, that you find yourself going down the rabbit hole. And when we talk about the rabbit hole, it's that moment where it allows us to freely be curious, to freely be, exploring the topic that we have, and to give us that moment to go down further around exploring that curiosity. And I'm putting the poll in of whether or not you've actually had that moment where you actually have gone through the rabbit hole. And I'm sure everyone has that moment. So we're kind of putting that poll in. But with that moment, we know that when life comes into play, whether it is going for an assignment, whether it is submitting a deadline or passing an exam, the moment of going down that rabbit hole vanishes quite quickly. And it's not our fault, because that's just what life occurs. But we want to listen to those moments a little bit further, because those moments allow us to really pick at our passions and really speak to us in a way that allows us to go, naturally, this is where we actually belong. And so when we talk about those moments, what we want to talk about is that moment of allowing you to learn at your own pace, to allow you to scroll through Pinterest or Google and go down further than what the surface of the topic is. And this is what we found within our graduate program, that the formula of learning at your own pace actually allows you to master your own craft in the most deepest fashion, but also to become a expert in the areas that you will be delivering in, and that is building products for customers, building products to solutions, and building products for the best of humanity at the end. But before we go into learning at your own pace, what does that actually mean? And I guess, what are the experimentations that have occurred when we talk about learning at your own pace? There was an experiment that was done in the US where they actually took first-year psychology students, and the psychology students were exposed to 80 words, random words, that were passed in their psychology definition and terminologies. And there were actually two groups. There was one group that had an environment where they could learn at their own pace, and the second group that had an environment that was constricted to time. And with that, the group that was learning at their own pace, they were exposed to a desktop computer, and they had words that flashed on the desktop. They had ample amount of time to learn that word as long as they wanted to. And when they were actually ready, they would press the space bar, and the word will then go to the next definition that they were required to learn. The other group had the same format, but rather than having the choice of pressing the space bar, they actually had time limits to that. So they had time frames between 15 to 20 minutes to learn the particular definition, and then the automation will come through and it will flash to the next word. Now, what have we found in this experimentation was that those who actually learnt at their own pace performed far better in their memory. They had found that those who had those difficult words to learn, they actually drove themselves to learn a little bit further and spent a little bit more time in it. And it also provided this authority for the individual and the subject to drive their own learning in such a way to become effective. And with that experiment and with the definitions of what learning at your own pace and the impacts are, we had then found that this formula actually works for our development program, our graduate development program. So what does it mean to be learning at your own pace? It means that we provide an environment that allows our graduates, our protege developers, that's what we call them, to feel empowered, to be led by mentors, and to have the permission to have as many resources as they can, to spend time in deepening their craft and going down that rabbit hole. That learning at your own pace actually is providing you a way to, to be the author of your learning. That the more motivated you are intrinsically, the more you want to master. And that's providing you with the autonomy to drive your own career. And lastly, it is the ability to increase your self-awareness even further. So when we talk about self-awareness, in any job that we go into, the more self-aware that you are, the more you understand what your blind spots are, the more you're going to be able to navigate your way through your career quite effectively. And with that, the more you understand how you learn, the more you'll be able to adopt different types of languages, different types of theories, and different types of platforms that technology actually throws at you. So in some ways, we say to our protege developers that you spend time, an ample amount of time to go deep inside your craft. And the more time you spend in that space, the faster you're going to be able to go in terms of developing the best products and the best solutions for customers overall. So that's that. That is learning at your own pace and why we value it so much.
Jan, and I'll jump in here, and I'd like to really dive deep into our program at MYOB and how learning at your own pace has been adopted into the structure that we do have. So I'll jump over to this slide where we've got a real high-level overview on the Future Makers Academy at MYOB. You'll see here that those entering into our program come from an extremely diverse background. I'd like to point out that our graduate program is called the Future Makers Academy, and it's not called a graduate program. I'd also like to call out that our developers that enter into this role are called proteges, and they're not called graduates. And this is done with purpose and done with intent. So we have multiple different types of people walking into this program from different levels of experience. We have the traditional student who will have completed a computer science degree. We also have other students and graduates who may have completed a like degree, but have a real passion for programming and want to be a software developer. We also have those individuals who may have self-taught, may be really interested in another area, but have self-taught to a semi-professional level. And we have our Develop Her program, that supports women to go and learn how to code and enter into our program as well. We have internal staff and interns who move into these roles as well. Now, the meaning behind protege developer, the meaning of protege is to be mentored and supported by those who are more skilled than yourself, which fully encompasses the role at MYOB moving into this space. You're a protege developer and you enter into a period of what we call acceleration, and you're supported by 2 co-mentors. And this is where we really have that big focus at learning at your own pace. You start as a protege developer. You have a great orientation week, which we have just completed for our new proteges who started this year, where you get immersed into the culture at MYOB. You hear from our stakeholders, you meet your cohort, you meet your buddies, you meet your mentors. You start to feel a part of our culture and our team at MYOB. The second phase is moving into acceleration, where you start to work through the curriculum. This curriculum has been designed and built to teach best practices, so those theories that you've learnt potentially at university or you've picked up along the way, to really put them into practice, and for us to give you those additional pieces that you may not know about that's going to support your development in your career, not just at MYOB but beyond, to become the best professional software developer you can. So whilst you're in acceleration, it's not just about coding and it's not just about learning those technical skills. We also give you that ability to learn those different other human-centric skills, or I like to call them power skills. Some people call them soft, but they're definitely not soft. And the reason for us giving proteges 2 mentors is to support them on their own guided learning journey. And this is where learning at your own pace really thrives. Each individual that we have coming into the program will have experience from a different background, and therefore not everyone enters in at the same level, and we know that. We also know that not everyone learns the same way, the same style, and so therefore we have this nurturing space where it's all about learning at your own pace. So for our mentors, they take you on this guided learning journey, taking you through those key concepts, those challenges, those different theories and practicals that we foresee you really needing to understand before moving into team rotations. You'll see on this slide that there's an approximate time period of how long you spend in this area, and that is because everyone is different. Everyone's on their own journey. We've had some people enter into acceleration and move through to team rotations within 4 months. We've had others that have taken 8 months and more. Whichever the way, it's absolutely fine. It's about your own journey and us supporting you through that. We want you to understand those concepts and really deepen your knowledge before moving into those team rotations. The second phase is team rotations. And this is where you start to learn to work with our team, so learning how to work in a team and working on our product and building products for our customers at MYOB. And now you can do 1 rotation, but you could do up to 4. Learning at your own pace here is still sieves into this area when we have the ability here for you as an individual to really think about those learning concepts that you would like to learn and really understand where you'd like to go. We have a huge theory here around driving your own career. So learning about the company, learning about the different parts of the product, and learning about which teams are going to, that you would really like to build skills in those different areas. Now, each rotation is anywhere between 3 and 6 months. We give you an indication that 3 months is your minimum to make sure that you're learning as much as possible. And we give you an indication that's no more than 6 months, because if you're spending 6 months in that rotation, you're more than likely equipped to be an associate. Now, some proteges will do 1 rotation, some can do up to 4. Again, it's really about you and your own journey and understanding where you'd like to go. This is completely supported by Shan and myself as the Academy coordinators, but we have a massive hope that you will actually drive your own career in this own area, learn more people in the business, learn which area that you'd like to go in and where you'd like to learn. So now I'm going to touch on beyond the program, and I know this is a key aspect for many students out there on the call today. What happens after our graduate program, the Future Makers Academy? Where does this take you as a software developer? So I've got some information here, and I'm going to work on the right-hand side first. So career progression at MYOB, from a protege developer, you would move into an associate role. Now this could be as a developer or even as a DevOps engineer. Post this, you would move into the developer space, senior developer and principal and beyond. Otherwise, you could take different routes of moving into management. One key call out that I'd like to point out here, and I've highlighted, is that on average you spend 14.8 months in that protege role. So this is data taken from all proteges who have been through our program. And as an associate, you would spend 9.6. So that's looking at about 2 years before you, 2 years until you become a developer. So then if I look at some data on the right-hand side there, you can see that I've got two categories here. So those who have been have come through our program and have moved into associate roles have spent 9.6 months in an associate role there, whereas those who have entered directly into MYOB do spend more time in that associate role. So what we've been able to measure is that the way that our curriculum is designed and set up, and our theory of learning at your own pace, truly does reflect in the way of career progression and how you progress within your career at MYOB. So if you are interested in applying or learning more about the program at MYOB, jump on our website, learn more and subscribe here. We will be opening our applications in April this year in 2021 for those wanting to start in 2022. But make sure you sign up, because we do send out more information about the program, any events that we run, or any opportunities to network with our team.
Amazing. So I think there's actually some questions that have come through that we'll be happy to answer. So there is a question that's come through from Zihao saying, what are the requirements for students graduating from a master's in data science degree? At this point in time, Zihao, and I hope that I have pronounced your name right, I will say that the program only at the moment caters for software developers. So for those who have graduated from a computer science degree or a form of technology degree. So unfortunately not open for those who have completed data sciences. However, it's still open to you if you are interested in software development. So that's one as well. Another question that has kind of come through is how can I apply for the program, which Bianca has already responded to. So make sure you subscribe, because you will get notified of that. And whether or not we offer online, well, we've been doing kind of online with our onboarding, and also face-to-face as well. In terms of, and I know that a lot of organisations are working through what that looks like, but we would say that the way of operation at the moment has been a bit of a mix of both at this stage. I don't know whether there's anything to add there as well. B, do you want to add anything like that? Because I think our onboarding for online and also face-to-face has been quite successful.
Absolutely has. As an organisation, we do have a hybrid model. We've always had very much an organisation that has freely been able to have flexible working hours, working from home. But we've now seen post 2020 and post COVID that hybrid model is becoming, much more of a 2 days in the office, 3 days at home, or even less. In terms of those who are not in Australia at the time of when we start the program, we do need, as I mentioned, we have this hybrid model. So whilst our program operates in 3 locations, we will have sessions where we go through certain areas that are face-to-face. And so for those who are wanting to start in the program, at that point when we do commence the program, they'd need to be available to enter into that office on those locations. Our recruitment process can be done completely remotely though.
Well, I think that's really all the questions that have come through for today. We want to say a big thank you for having us here. The biggest thing is that, with regards to whatever you take away from this presentation, is to allow yourself to go deep in your learning, to have those moments where you are scrolling through, and to remember that spending 5 hours on something that you're interested in, that's an actual magic moment for you. And if you are also interested in our program, please apply through, because we get a lot of great feedback on the development and growth that we get from our project developers, and also how rich their experience has become as well. So from MYOB and the Future Makers Academy, thank you for having us, and have an amazing afternoon.
Yeah.